So we going back as far as me being a child. That's why my book is called There No Leader, The Evolution of an Addict's Son. I grew up with 2 drug addict parents. From the time that I was, born, my mother was just strung out and a drug addict. She was on crack cocaine for, my entire life until she passed. So as a child, I've lived in abandoned houses as a child. I've lived on the street as a child. I had days that I didn't know where my meal was coming from. And also as a child, I was taught and raised to hustle. You know what I'm saying? So I learned how to hustle from my mother. Not even from, gang members or, streets for real. The streets taught it to me later on. But I first learned about it from my mother, because my mother was so engulfed in the streets herself. That's all, her mind was focused on at the time. Sometimes we hear about men that do certain things or men living a certain lifestyle. My mother was probably the most hardcore woman that you ever meet. You feel what I'm saying? My mother wasn't afraid of nobody. My mother didn't run from nobody. My mother, ran her little community. She did whatever she wanted. They call her either Miss No No or Aunt No No. And it was like, even though she, had her addiction, she still had so much respect in the hood that it carried weight. So, I remember being a young boy, young man, a young child, 5 years old. They would stuff crack vials in my diaper. Walk me across the street because the police weren't supposed to basically search children. So they had stuffed the crack vials in my diaper, even call me and walk across the street or up the street, or they had walked me across the street just to transport the vials. That's when I was really first introduced to the drug game, was from my mother using that to gain money, moving it for other people and stuff like that. And it graduated from me being, the little kid moving it through my diaper to now I'm on pedal bikes looking out for the police. You know what I'm saying? Knowing all the cars and the signals and stuff like that. Then they graduated from me eventually, getting my own work from the OGs and running my own block at the age of, 11, 12 years old. I had my own little young crew and stuff like that. But I don't talk about these things in a glorifying way. I talk about them because that's what was taught to me. I talk about them because that's all I knew at that point in time in my life. I talk about them because when I grew up, that's what it was. That's what I saw in front of me.